Hello there, it's midnight and you are tuning in to Nightline with me, Nadia Azmi. Here are the top stories. Auditor General's report, LTAT Felder given 2 weeks to explain losses. And agent no longer needed to bring in Bangladeshi workers. Good morning. The Armed Forces Fund Board, or LTAT, and the Federal Land Development Authority, FELDA, have been given 2 weeks to explain their shortcomings, as highlighted in the 2022 Auditor General's report. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said a notice for explanation has been handed to the two agencies to provide a full report. The Auditor General's report on the 2022 Federal Agency Financial Statement presented in the Dewan Rakyat on Wednesday showed that LTAT had been recording a negative balance in its reserves since 2020. The report also found that FELDA suffered an after-tax loss of 1.005 billion ringgit.
Walaupun sekarang ini daripada audit 2022, tapi kita nak tentukan ada laporan lengkap supaya beberapa kelemahan diperbaiki. Dan kalau ada apa-apa yang terlibat yang agak kurang baik, kita terpaksa tindakan.
The Prime Minister was met by the media after performing Friday prayers with a congregation of more than 100, including police officers and residents, at the Surau Amaniyah at IPD Putrajaya. The Prime Minister said the Cabinet would also be deliberating the report to be submitted by the two entities. Asked whether there was a need for a special committee to investigate the issue, Anwar said what was important now was for the Auditor General's report to be studied first and getting the explanations by the agencies. Meanwhile, the LTAT said it is still solvent and capable of fulfilling its obligations. In a statement, the fund said it maintains a solvency position above the threshold required under its dividend policy, even when non-cash profits are excluded. The statement said the negative reserve of LTAT duly highlighted is the other comprehensive income, or OCI reserve, which is just one facet of the combined reserve. LTAT's combined reserve is composed of three components, namely Retained Earnings Reserve Fund and OCI Reserve, which in combination reflects its financial stability. The fund also stressed that despite the OCI reserve showing a deficit, the combined reserve at the end of financial year 2022 amounts to a net positive balance, representing an improvement from the preceding year. It said the unaudited post-dividend combined reserve for financial year 2023 will see further improvements, reflecting its commitment to its transformation journey towards strengthening its financial position. Later at night, Anwar revealed that the proposed constitutional amendments regarding the citizenship of children born overseas will be tabled in Parliament this month. He said the constitutional amendment is to amend the word father to parents or mother or father after the draft was presented to the Conference of Rulers.
Istilah bapa yang diiktiraf dalam perlembagaan itu dari segi hak anak-anak menjadi warga negara akan digantikan kepada ibu bapa atau ibu atau bapa. Saya bersyukur, alhamdulillah, dan setelah begitu lama, puluhan tahun, perkara yang dibangkitkan kerajaan madani dan di bawah Menteri Nancy Shukri, kita dapat lakukan pindaan yang sangat bererti ini. Dan salam sejahtera.
The Prime Minister was speaking at the 2024 International Women's Day celebration in Petaling Jaya on Friday night. He expressed belief that the constitutional amendment would receive unanimous support from MPs in the Dewan Rakyat. Anwar also announced the government's intention to grant greater flexibility to women seeking to manage household obligations alongside their contributions to the nation. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong Sultan Ibrahim has awarded brand new cars to government officers of various ranks in recognition of their outstanding contributions and services. Among those who received the gift were Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Razaruddin Hussein, as well as senior Istana Negara officials, Grand Chamberlain of Istana Negara Dato' Azwan Effendi Zaira Kithnaini, and Istana Negara Religious Officer Dato' Munir Mat Saleh. The gifts were presented by His Majesty Sultan Ibrahim and the royal family of Johor through the Royal Johor Foundations. Previously, His Majesty has long been presenting cars to government offices, district offices, medical doctors and nurses. In 2010, Sultan Ibrahim gifted 11 cars and 8 high-powered motorcycles to the Royal Malaysia Police, while cars were also given to all district offices in Johor in 2018. In expressing appreciation to medical teams, His Majesty had also granted 10 cars to nurses serving at the Royal Ward of Sultanah Aminah Hospital, Johor Bahru in September 2020. His Majesty had also given cars to 3 doctors in recognition of their service in the medical team of the Johor Palace in 2021. The government will now accept direct applications from employers seeking to hire Bangladeshi workers, ending the requirement for this to be handled by agents. Home Minister Datuk Seri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail announced that applications for the e-visa can be made directly through the Immigration Department's portal using the active IDs and user manuals which have been provided to employers.
Ditegaskan bahawa majikan adalah bertanggungjawab untuk menyegerakan proses kemasukan pekerja asing berdasarkan kuota yang telah diluluskan dan berdasarkan proses-proses yang ditetapkan. Di pihak immigration, permohonan e-visa dapat diproses dalam masa 1 hingga 2 hari bekerja.
He added that applications through the My Visa portal has been open since February 29th. As such, he urged employers to take advantage of the time given by the government and expedite the entry of foreign workers into the country. The Companies Commission of Malaysia, SSM, has raided several premises of a trust company that operates an illegal investment scheme known as Kanaf Development Fund, or KDF. The raid was carried out following complaints received from KDF investors stating that the company had failed to pay returns as promised. SSM in a statement said that the raid, in cooperation with the Royal Malaysia Police and Cybersecurity Malaysia, was carried out simultaneously in 3 locations, namely in KL Central, Petaling Jaya and Seberang Perai. As a result of the operation, authorities confiscated the company's account records, documents related to the organisation of KDF and the suspect's mobile phone. The KDF investment scheme was first offered to the public from September 2021 to January 2023 and has raised almost 140 million ringgit from 1,919 investors. The modus operandi for the KDF investment scheme is that investors were promised a return of around 3% a month, and after 12 months, investors will receive the investment money back. And this scheme is organised to finance a kanaf tree planting project in Chuping Perlis. According to SSM, preliminary investigations found that the KDF investment scheme was not registered under the Interest Schemes Act 2016, and the chief executive officer of the company who masterminded the scheme was a bankrupt individual. Meanwhile, Bukit Aman Commercial Crime Investigation Department Director Datuk Seri Ramli Muhammad Yusof, when contacted, said the department has opened 2 investigation papers in connection to the case.
JSJK ada membuka 2 kertas siasatan masing-masing di Petaling Jaya dan Brickfields melibatkan Kanaf Development Fund, KDF. Walau bagaimanapun, JSJK Brickfields telah mendapat pengesahan daripada SSM bahawa pihak mereka sedang menjalankan siasatan ke atas syarikat ini di bawah Akta Syarikat dan Akta Skim Berkepentingan 2016. Berkaitan dengan serbuan SSM tersebut, pihak mereka telah mendapat bantuan backup in case pihak syarikat enggan memberi kerjasama dengan keanggotaan daripada EDRM.
The role of artificial intelligence AI is expected to give a positive impact in the development of global brand and business sectors. However, in a discussion with industry players at the 45th International Advertising Association IAA World Congress in Bayan Lepas, Pulau Pinang, they hope the usage of AI will be handled ethically to avoid any negative implications, especially to consumers.
For us to use that technology
During the three-day Congress, industry leaders and experts unanimously agreed that AI is developing as a crucial method and can no longer be avoided in all consumer-related fields.
But ultimately, we could conclude that AI, when used responsibly with regulated practices, it is definitely beneficial for human beings. And we have seen since morning, AI has been, thanks to AI today, 20 cancers can be detected early. Earlier, you could only detect 4. In the last 18 months, it has reached to 20. So it has a lot of benefits, definitely, but it needs to be used responsibly.
Ada beberapa perbincangan yang perlu diadakan untuk lihat aspek kawal selia regulatory mengenai AI, sebab di Malaysia kita belum lagi setakat ini ada satu kerangka kawal selia. Tapi kalau kita bandingkan dengan beberapa negara yang lain ataupun seperti di Kesatuan Eropah, mereka telah sama ada mulakan perbincangan itu ataupun sudah ada kerangka kawal selia. Jadi saya rasa penting untuk perbincangan mengenai hal ini dipercepat.
With the theme Brand Recode, Better World, Better Life, the 45th IAA World Congress has attracted over 1,000 delegates from 30 countries. Hong Kong unveils new national security law. News from the foreign front after this short break.
Apa yang kelakar sangat tu, Kak? Ni tengah tengok drama baru dekat tonton ni. Macam seronok je cerita ni. Kalau nak tengok kat TV, boleh tak?
Boleh je, Mak. Cari aplikasi tonton. Dah jumpa tu, tinggal buat turun je. Dah buka tonton, tekan butang sign in, nanti dia keluar macam ni. Dia ada bagi link. Tapi nak senang, invest je kod QR ni. Masukkan je ID dengan password. Sekarang ni tinggal cari senang dan main drama.
Influencer marketing, social commerce, how is the advertising industry evolving amidst emerging trends for sustained relevance? And in the era of digitalization, what strategies are advertisers employing to stay competitive? Money Matters from the Advertising World Congress with Sasan Saidi of the International Advertising Association this Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3 and stream on Tonton.
Ciri-ciri wanita hebat dalam Cereka Rama TV3. Wanita yang bangkit demi maruah.
Dia akan jadi isteri yang baik untuk you.
Jangan menyesal. Kita ni kena bersyukur.
Kasih wanita yang mendahulukan keluarga.
Buat hari-hari doa yang baik-baik.
Satu destinasi untuk semua telefilm wanita hebat hanya di Cereka Rama TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Welcome back. The United Nations Human Rights Office said on Friday that an Israeli offensive in Gaza's border town of Rafah could not be allowed to happen as it would cause massive loss of Palestinian lives. Spokesperson for the UN Human Rights Office, Jeremy Lawrence, warned that if Israel proceeds with its military offensive into Rafah, where millions have been displaced in deplorable, a ground assault could lead to significant loss of life and increase the risk of further atrocity crimes. This came as the Zionist regime continued to ramp up its attacks across the Strip, resulting in at least 11 fatalities in the city of Deir el-Balah. To date, the Zionist regime attacks on the enclave have killed 78 people and wounded 104 in the past 24 hours. Meanwhile, the head of the European Commission, von der Leyen, said on Friday a maritime aid corridor could start operating between Cyprus and Gaza this weekend, as part of accelerating Western efforts to relieve the humanitarian crisis in the war-ravaged Palestinian enclave. She said a pilot test run of food aid collected by a charity group and supported by the United Arab Emirates could be leaving Cyprus as early as Friday from the port of Larnaca in Cyprus.
We are launching this Cyprus Maritime Corridor together. Cyprus, the European Union, the United Arab Emirates and the United States. And it is your relentless work to get this corridor up and running, despite all the challenges and this is truly inspiring. We are now very close to the opening of the corridor, hopefully this Sunday, and I'm very glad to see that an initial pilot operation will be launched today.
Hong Kong on Friday published its draft of a new national security law, a document some lawyers said broadened what could be considered sedition and state secrets, with tougher penalties for anyone convicted of those crimes and several others. The draft, including new laws encompassing treason, espionage, external interference, state secrets and sedition, follows a month-long consultation that ended last week. The bill includes sentences of up to life imprisonment for treason, 20 years for espionage and 10 years for offences linked to state secrets and sedition, but also takes note of Hong Kong's freedom of expression and other rights. The Legislative Council started debating the bill on Friday amid tight security, and several members of the largely pro-Beijing body said they expected the bill to be passed into law before mid-April. South Korea will move quickly to improve pay and working conditions for young doctors, tackling a key demand by medical trainees who have walked off the job. Prime Minister Han Duck-soo said the current practice of forcing young doctors to work 36 hours at a stretch was partly responsible for their protest walkout and must be changed. He added that the government would consider limiting to 24 hours the period that resident doctors and interns must work continuously. From this month, trainee doctors in pediatrics will receive an allowance of $757 from this month, and the government plans similar payments for other trainee doctors. It will start with those in essential specializations such as emergency medicine and general surgery. Australia's Great Barrier Reef has been hit by a major coral bleaching event, with the results consistent with patterns of heat stress that have built up over summer at the biologically diverse site. The Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority, GBRMPA, which monitors the reef's health, said on Friday that the damage was widespread in at least two-thirds of the areas surveyed by the UNESCO World Heritage Site. Chief Scientist Roger Beaton emphasized the need for in-water surveys to confirm the severity and depth range of coral bleaching, despite extensive observations from aerial surveys indicating its prevalence in shallow water areas. The news comes after the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration earlier this week said the world was on the verge of a fourth mass coral bleaching event, which could see wide swaths of tropical reefs die, including parts of the Great Barrier Reef. Crash out in quarterfinals. Action from Paris when Nightline returns.
Kongres Ekonomi Bumiputra pemangkin ke arah transformasi pembangunan ekonomi. Anjakan pemerkasaan Bumiputra lebih adil, saksama dan inklusif. Kupasannya dalam Soal Rakyat bersama Timbalan Perdana Menteri Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi. Sabtu 9 Mac 5.30 petang hanya di TV3. Juga stream ditonton.
influencer marketing, social commerce, how is the advertising industry evolving amidst emerging trends for sustained relevance? And in the era of digitalization, what strategies are advertisers employing to stay competitive? Money Matters from the Advertising World Congress with Sasan Saidi of the International Advertising Association this Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3 and stream on Tonton.
Masyarakat Malaysia rata-ratanya gemar makan makanan pedas dan manis-manisan.
So janganlah macam, okey saya tak nak makan manis, saya tak nak makan manis. So tak ambil langsung. At one point, kita dah fed up, kita akan makan je lah.
Adakah anda penggemar makanan bergoreng ataupun minum kopi secara berlebihan?
Okey, besok kita review pukul apa? Kita orang akan puasa sampai kita orang makan untuk review tu je.
Terlebih makan, perbincangannya dalam Hello Doktor, Ahad 5.30 petang di TV3 dan juga stream di Tonton.
Sports now, badminton, the 2024 French Open. National top men's pair Aaron Chia So Wee Yik's run came to an end in the quarterfinals on Friday after they went down to South Korea's Kang Min-kwik, Seo Jung-jae. The duo proved to be not at their best as they succumbed to a straight set 19-21, 16-21 defeat to the reigning world champions. It was the world number 5 pair's second consecutive defeat to the Korean duo this year, following their loss on the same stage in the Malaysian Open in January. The national team's challenge in the tournament has come to an end following Aaron Wee Yik's defeat. Now turning to tennis, the 2024 BNP Paribas Open. Canada's Milos Raonic kicked off his campaign on a high note as he pulled out a straight set victory over India's Sumit Nagal. Raonic enjoyed a good start, taking the first set 6-3. The second set was interrupted by a 2+ hour rain delay, but that did not affect Raonic too much as he sealed his place in the second round with a 6-3 win. Raonic was initially supposed to face 22-time Grand Slam champion Rafael Nadal of Spain, but the 37-year-old withdrew from the tournament Wednesday. Joining him was Gael Monfils. The Frenchman proved to be too strong for Max Purcell as he eased past the Australian 6-1, 6-2 to set a second-round matchup with Hubert Hurkacz. In the women's category, 2018 champion Naomi Osaka eased into the second round after defeating number 100 Sarah Errani. Playing her first tournament since making the quarterfinals in Doha last month, Osaka overpowered the former world number 5 6-3, 6-1 to notch the fourth win of her comeback from maternity leave. The victory is Osaka's 50th WTA 1000 win on hard count. She is the only third Asian player to achieve as many since the format's introduction in 2009. Earlier, Venus Williams gave away the lead and the last 10 games in a 6-2, 3-6, love-6 loss to qualifier Nao Hibino. The 43-year-old owner of 7 Grand Slam titles has played sparingly in recent years, in part because of injuries. Her most recent appearance at Indian Wells came in 2019. On to motorsports now. Saudi Arabian female racing driver Reem Al Aboud has struck a major blow for diversity and eco-power in motor racing. Driving a Formula E Gen Beta race car, the 23-year-old has set a new benchmark in an FIA-sanctioned single-seater car by eclipsing the 0-60 miles per hour acceleration time set by Formula One. It is the first time F1 has been successfully challenged as Reem set the new mark of 2.49 seconds, easily beating the current F1 cars that reach 60 in 2.64 seconds. The Formula E Gen Beta race car is an unlocked Gen 3 race car created by the all-electric series and the FIA with 400 kilowatt of power and improvements from partners such as Hankook Tire and Sabic. When we return, mechanic sentenced to death for drug trafficking.
Kongres Ekonomi Bumiputra, pemangkin ke arah transformasi pembangunan ekonomi. Anjakan pemerkasaan Bumiputra lebih adil, saksama dan inklusif. Kupasannya dalam Soal Rakyat bersama Timbalan Perdana Menteri Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi. Sabtu 9 Mac 5.30 petang hanya di TV3. Juga stream di Tonton.
influencer marketing, social commerce, how is the advertising industry evolving amidst emerging trends for sustained relevance? And in the era of digitalization, what strategies are advertisers employing to stay competitive? Money Matters from the Advertising World Congress with Sasan Saidi of the International Advertising Association this Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3 and stream on Tonton.
Tak tentu arah dibuatnya bila pelat huruf R ni.
Rahim, cepat. Semua tengah tunggu ni.
Boleh berjaya ke Rahim nak mengubah pelatnya tu?
Ya, nama aku Rahim bin Ghazali.
Kali, bila Ustaz suruh azan, jangan lagi-lagi.
Hai Rahim. Bukan nak gelakkan Rahim. Rahim bukan sengaja pun tak boleh sebut A.
Rahim takut nak azan. 10 Mac, 9 malam di Cerita Ahad TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Welcome back. The Tourism, Arts and Culture Ministry has taken decisive action against Umrah package operator Emirates Travel and Tours Sundran Berhad by revoking its license effective March 11th. In a statement on Friday, the ministry said the cancellation of the license is in accordance with paragraph 8, 1B and D of the Tourism Industry Act 1992 or Act 482. According to the ministry, termination comes after the company was found to have violated the license conditions and provisions of Act 482 and conducted business in a manner detrimental to the interests of the public, the tourism industry or the national economy. Since November last year, police have received hundreds of reports regarding allegations of Umrah package fraud involving the company. Subsequently, the company's two directors, a married couple, have been brought to court in relation to the case. A vape seller has been remanded at the Port Dickson Magistrates Court to assist investigations into the selling of vape flavouring allegedly containing drugs. The 3-day remand order was issued by Magistrate Uthman Abdul Ghani. The suspect was arrested on Thursday during a police raid at premises selling vape liquid in Taman Ria, Port Dickson. According to Port Dickson District Police Chief Superintendent Aidisha Muhammad, the suspect is believed to have mixed vape liquid with drugs believed to be ketamine before selling the liquid to customers. Police seized 3 bottles of ketamine and 164 bottles of repackaged vape flavouring. The drug-infused vape bottles were sold for between 20 to 30 ringgit per bottle, with an estimated seizure value of more than 14,000 ringgit. A mechanic was sentenced to death by the Tawau High Court after he was found guilty of trafficking almost 200 kilograms of shabu. Justice Lim Hock Leng handed down the sentence to 51-year-old Tai Chi Kiong after finding that the defence had failed to raise any reasonable doubt. In his judgment, the judge said although it was a first offence, the volume of drugs seized was believed to be the largest in Sabah. He said it exceeded the accumulated quantity of all 5 previous drug cases tried in the court over the past 3 years. The judge added that the accused did not show any remorse and did not respond, nor did the defence counsel, despite being given the opportunity by the court to speak before the sentence was meted out. The accused had been charged under the Dangerous Drugs Act on October 13, 2021, with trafficking 200 kilograms of shabu in Kampung Batu Payung on September 6, 2021. This was the first case in the Tawau High Court involving the death penalty after the mandatory death penalty was abolished on July 4th last year. As we wrap up Nightline this time around, let's take a look at a Ramadan light display that lit up London's Leicester Square. The city's mayor, Sadiq Khan, said the light display was about celebrating London's diversity, and it will be the second year the city displayed such attractions. With that, I'm Nadia Azmi. Thank you for tuning in and stay safe.